Aloy's voice actor responds to AI Aloy, Respawn's new game to be revealed at Star Wars Celebration, and Sony's new studio is being led by a Call of Duty veteran. All of that on the TripleJump Gaming News. Hello.
Hello.
It's Tuesday, not Monday. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
There was no news yesterday.
No, boring.
Boring.
Boring day, boring Monday. Today's exciting Tuesday.
It is.
We've got all sorts to talk about.
Special exciting Tuesday.
Yeah, starting with a bad exciting thing, which we do already know about, but a bit kind of a development on the story.
Yeah.
Ashley Birch has sort of broken silence on the AI Aloy situation.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, AI Aloy footage was leaked recently. It was essentially just an AI chatbot that used Aloy's likeness, but not her voice. It could be an early look at some of the technology we're going to see from Sony and other studios going forward.
We reported on this last week about how stinky it looked, but she has gone on to her social media and shared a video regarding the whole thing. She said that she saw the tech demo and that developer Gorilla, who developed Horizon, have been in contact with her to say the demo didn't reflect anything that was actively in development. It didn't use any of Birch's performance, so none of my facial or voice data, she said. Gorilla owns Aloy as a character. So while it wasn't, her, and Gorilla have assured her that she's not being replaced, it's obviously not nice to see a character that you voice being used by the people who own her without you involved.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a sort of a rights violation or a SAG-AFTRA issue or anything like that. But yeah, it's still, it must suck to know that, because that still is. There's some of you in there in that character.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she brings up the SAG-AFTRA strikes that's currently happening, saying we're asking for protections. What we are fighting for is you have to get our consent before you make an AI version of us in any form. You have to compensate us fairly, and you have to tell us how you're using this AI double, which I feel is like bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you tell me what you're doing with my voice and likeness? She says later on that the problem is we're currently on strike and the bargaining group will not agree to give us common sense protections, which I feel like is very, very much correct.
Yeah, she said, I feel worried about this art form, and continued later, I want to be able to continue to do this job, and if we don't win, then the future is really compromised. I'm genuinely not trying to put any game company specifically on blast, certainly not Gorilla, because again, I don't think the technology isn't ... The technology isn't the problem. Game companies wanting to use the technology isn't the problem. The problem is we are currently on strike, and the bargaining, as you say, bargaining group will not agree to give us common sense protections.
Yeah.
So she probably, I think she quite rightly said, it's an inconvenient truth, but she quite rightly said the technology exists and companies are going to want to use it, and we're not even trying to stop that, because video game companies and all sorts of other companies are always going to want to use the next step in technology, the next technological advancement. It's just about how it's used and whether it's done ethically.
Yes, but she has kind of reiterated that she's not super worried about, being replaced as Aloy, and she knows that her likeness wasn't involved. I think it's just very much a wake-up call, being like, well, this is horrible that this can happen, and she's just been very vocal about it, which I respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up then, a game announcement that might be happening, it will hopefully be happening, on April 19th at Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo, Japan, where Respawn will be revealing their new game. It's not a Jedi Survivor / Fallen Order game.
It's not, but it is Star Wars.
It is. It's a Star Wars turn-based tactics game that they are making in collaboration with Bit Reactor, which is a new studio formed by veterans of XCOM and Civilization studio 5-Axis games.
Yeah.
So people who have a lot of experience making turn-based tactical
Exactly.
games.
Sounds like a bit of a James Jenkins sort of game.
We were talking about this yesterday, and he was very much like, I think I've manifested this. I talked about on my stream that Star Wars would make a really good turn-based tactics game, and now they're making it.
Well, there've been some very good Star Wars sort of PC strategy games over the years. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, I think one of them was called, and then there was also, I think, is it Empire at War? That's definitely a game. I'm trying to remember if that is a strategy game. But
sounds right to me.
Yeah, there's a game called Empire at War, which was also apparently quite good. So it's a good it's a good setting for it. There's all sorts to go at. So in a statement published last year alongside the announcement of nearly 700 company-wide layoffs, EA Entertainment President Laura Miele said that after a review, it decided Respawn should focus on the Jedi and Apex Legends series.
They've obviously now been like, and you can do this other Star Wars thing as well.
Yeah, they're like the Jedi series and maybe just Star Wars generally, because the Jedi series is going so well.
Yeah, I mean, this comes in the midst of Star Wars Hunters, the online game being being taken offline this week with no refunds being offered to anyone who spent any money on it.
Yeah.
But also comes in the wake of Tim Willits, who's Saber's COO, talking about Knights of the Old Republic remake, which is the PS5 exclusive, saying that is still being worked on as well, saying that we are working on numerous games across many different genres. Everything that we have talked about is still in development. We will share information on upcoming games when we have something cool to share. This is after kind of various reports that nobody was working on this. Jason Schreier was like, I think there's like one guy working on Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
But they've been very much like, no, we're still doing it. It's just not ready yet.
Seems to be kind of endemic in all Star Wars games at the moment, apart from the Jedi series, which is doing well. But because there was Star Wars Eclipse as well, remember that was announced, and we saw, I think, quite a nice looking CG trailer, and then absolutely nothing.
Was that the one that was helmed by Peter Hirschman? Because there was another one announced in 2022 at the same time.
That's right, actually,
ones,
yeah.
But it was cancelled, but I don't actually think, I can't remember what that one was.
Maybe, I can't remember if Eclipse is cancelled or not, but yeah, there was that. And then I'm sure maybe this was the same as Eclipse or something else, but Amy Hennig, I think, was back on something. Oh yeah,
she got, and then that got cancelled.
And then, yeah, so it's all over the place. But, I mean, seemingly EA at least can maybe 50% of the time do a decent job with Star Wars games, so this one might go a bit further.
Yeah,
thanks.
So April 19th we'll find out hopefully more about it when Star Wars Celebration takes place.
Yes.
So we'll catch you up then.
Indeed.
Lastly then, Sony have announced, that they have a new studio called Dark Outlaw Games, which is being helmed by Jason Blundell of Call of Duty fame.
Yeah, formerly of Treyarch, where he served as studio co-head as well as game director on Call of Duty Zombies mode in 2020. He left in 2020, and he has now co-founded the new studio. And he also was announced to have co-founded a Sony-backed studio, Deviation Games, in 2021. But they ran into a, quote, difficult situation in 2023 with 90 layoffs, and then the studio shut its doors about a year ago, in March last year.
Yeah, but then he's formed this new one, and a lot of the former Deviation employees have joined him on this. He's currently not revealed what IP that he's working on, but in an interview with journalist Jeff Gerstmann, he talked about the team. He said, I've had an amazing opportunity to create a new studio with PlayStation Studios for Sony. The studio is called Dark Outlaw Games, and we've been working away in the shadows for a while. And when we've got something to talk about, we'll step out into the light.
Yeah.
Very poetic. So we don't know much about the game yet, but given his kind of track record of, I'm not saying we should put him in a box and let him do anything else, but people love Call of Duty Zombies. I know it's Ben Potter's favourite part of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see what he comes up with, whether that's going to be not live service, given the Sony's shift away from live service games, or whether they're going to try again with a live service game from these guys, because that's what he's done before.
Yeah, you would think that after the catastrophe that was Concord, of course, we've talked about this before, and then the whole series of cancelled live service games we've seen over the past couple of months, that going forward we will see less live service from Sony. But I would still think all bets are off. Like, they could just say, yeah, we've cancelled all of that stuff because those weren't going to work, but now we've got a new live service strategy. So it could be live service. I mean, if I had to bet on something, I would say perhaps it's going to be first-person shooter, coded in some way. But yeah, other than that, will it be live service? Will it be a single-player campaign-led thing? Could be anything. Really.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what Dark Outlaw Games come up with, or whether this has the same track record as his previous studio, Deviation Games. But we will see. I have my fingers crossed, and I'm hopeful that it will be positive.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about this and everything else we discussed on today's news. We will be at the podcast on Saturday on the podcast show, maybe discussing this, maybe discussing things that haven't even broke yet.
Whoa.
Make sure to follow the channel for all kinds of news videos that come up all the time every week, and follow our social media for the latest news and stuff.
Indeed.
And that's about it.
It is.
All
Thanks
right.
for watching, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.